Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from IrishSportsDaily.com. I am your host, Greg Flammang, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uyeyama, Mr. Jamie University. It is Tuesday, January 13th, and at long last, the portal is open. Notre Dame has entered the fray from a portal perspective. I think it was 4 announced players yesterday on Twitter. They kind of rolled them all out. We believe there's going to be a couple more, at least today, that Notre Dame is going to land that I think everyone is going to be excited about. So it was a rough start, rough first week for Notre Dame, but I think it all worked out. And as Eric likes to say, we are monitoring. Jamie, right before I started, I think Twitter might be back. We're monitoring that. It would be a bad day for Twitter not to be working, but it looks like that's back and working. So we're going to be monitoring that throughout the day. We're going to talk about everyone that Notre Dame signed yesterday. We're just going to go in order, and then we'll talk about the potentials after that, because I think it's a very exciting time for Notre Dame fans after kind of a long offseason of kind of bad news. I think they got some good news yesterday from Notre Dame's portal edition. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. If you like what you hear, hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know whenever it is we are going live. And you can enter the clothing portal if you want to and upgrade. Notre Dame's upgrading their roster. You can upgrade your wardrobe with ESQ clothing, founded by Notre Dame alum Ge Wang. He is Chicago's go-to for the best custom suits, shirts, and sport coats. They are known for their next-level craftsmanship. Using the finest fabrics, ESQ has introduced a 100% Pima cotton t-shirt to go along with its award-winning bamboo dress shirt, available for purchase online now with both showrooms, both downtown Chicago and in Winnetka. Book your custom fitting at esqclothing.com and step into confidence with Chicago's finest. Mention ISD at your appointment and use code ISD at checkout to receive 10% off your entire purchase. That's esqclothing.com. All right, so let's just get into it. The first person that announced yesterday was DJ McKenna, cornerback out of Colorado. It was interesting, and I know you kind of noticed this as well, Jamie. People were talking about him as if he was not a good football player, especially in last season, which I don't know where that comes from in terms of just like his numbers, right? So I'm just going to go through his numbers in 2025, and then we can go through. He's a 4-year player, 6'2", 180. So I like the size, first of all. We like that. 58% completion percentage against. 253 yards, so that's a lot. He gave up a 32-yarder last year. 253 yards, so yards per attempt are pretty high. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 4 passes broken up. 92.5 NFL passer rating against, which isn't great, but it isn't terrible either. It's just kind of standard. In 2024, 52% completions against, 315 yards on 71 targets, right? So we're talking like under 5 yards per attempt. 3 touchdowns allowed, 3 interceptions, 7 passes broken up, 60.5. For his career, he's given up around 50% completions, 77 NFL passer rating against. Jamie, I got 20 passes defended. He's a good football player. He's played a ton of snaps. He's got position versatility. I mean, this is a pretty big deal to me in terms of like he can play field if they need him to. If something happens to Christian Gray, I think he could play boundary if they needed to. He's got a little bit of that. He's got good size for that. If someone were to happen to Leonard Moore, he's experienced. This is a big pickup for me, and I like his game. I like how his style of play. I like his attitude. And then we can get into Colorado and the type of defense that they're playing and just kind of like the mindset of that program defensively. But I just think this is a really good pickup for Notre Dame, Jamie.
Yeah, I think it's a great pickup. And I think people don't realize, too, that where his standing was before last season. Like, he was Dane Brugler's third-ranked cornerback heading into the 25 season for the NFL draft. Like, because he was that good in 2024. Obviously, he was playing opposite Travis Hunter and was getting a ton of targets, and we had 16 average plays, 2 picks. Yeah, like you said, 2,093 career snaps.
Yeah.
Started the last 23 games of his career. Like, I don't know. You don't like guys who play a lot of ball and play well? Like, I can understand how he didn't have as good as a year as the year before. Like you said, it wasn't a bad year. And also, too, he wasn't playing with good players. Like, he wasn't playing with, he wasn't playing with many guys that helped him. So he was kind of on his own. And obviously, he was hurt at the end of the year, too. But I think this is a guy that automatically, like, he's a starting caliber guy. And I watched film of him, and I really like him. I think he's a great fit. Also comes from, their defensive coordinator was also a Cincinnati Bengals assistant. Came from like a similar like Al Golden, same kind of scheme. They played like heavy man coverage.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a ton of film of him playing man to man, and guess what? He was really, really good. But only 42.9% completions in man coverage, 76.6 NFL pass rating. That's at Colorado, like that's over the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a good player. Like he's absolutely a good player. Like if Notre Dame was looking for just like a guy that you wanted to be a starter to put him, you'd say, hey, this is a good pickup. Well, you're bringing him in as like a third corner or whatever, like a guy to compete there. Like, man, to me, it's a home run. Like that is absolutely the kind of guy that you want. And this is also the kind of guy that if like, talking about like Indiana and bringing all these experienced guys, this is the kind of guy that they bring in like all the time. Right. So, to me, it totally fits in with the bringing in like a Jordan Clark and Rod Hurd, except for this guy has a much higher ceiling and was better than those two, even though those guys are good players, but like he was, he's seen as a better NFL prospect. Like, he's probably going to play in the league. Like, this is a guy that you're picking up that there's so many reasons why it's a fit. So, in terms of like a 1 year guy to bring in, I think it's a great pick.
Yeah. In terms of on paper, like much better prospect than, I mean, we're comparing him to slots here because I don't know that that's what he's going to be, but like much better prospect than Jordan Clark. Jordan Clark had terrible numbers at Arizona State. Like they were not good. Thomas Harper was okay. Devontae Smith had the injured thing going on, so it's like he didn't have a ton of tape. So, and by the way, Thomas Harper, Jordan Clark worked out famously. So, it's like I'm not bagging on those players. I'm just saying, like, it's much more evident that DJ McKenna is a good football player than those two at this time when they signed with Notre Dame and agreed to come into the transfer portal. So, to me, I was very surprised that people were lukewarm on him and just kind of like, he was bad last year. Like, I don't like this pickup or whatever. And ironically, and we'll get to him later, I think people were like, but what does this mean for Jaden Sanders? Because that's kind of the guy everyone wanted, and Notre Dame ended up getting both of them. But we'll talk about him in a little bit. Did you have our beautiful boy, Frank Vitovich, my guy over at uhnd.com, who gave me my start? I love Frank. He's the man for that. Did you have a player comp for DJ McKenna? I don't know if you did. I know you will on Quincy Porter because he was a recruit, so you'll have something on him. But anything on DJ McKenna? And if not, like maybe we could just kind of spitball it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't because I'm not like doing it like traditional like film don't lie.
Film don't lie.
I didn't. So I didn't have one for him, but yeah, I mean, I guess we'll spitball it right now. But I just think if I think he's not quite the same, but I think you're looking at like a guy who's like a Cam Hart-ish type of guy. Like if you're thinking about a Notre Dame comp,
a little more physical, maybe.
Yeah, I would say he's probably a better tackler, but like that kind of guy that if you're thinking about how like Cam Hart was like a big field corner,
yeah,
like you could do that. Obviously, this guy has played some boundary and stuff too, but you see him like playing off. And I think Cam Hart was like way more comfortable playing off than he was playing press.
100%.
But this guy, I think he's better in press, but I think a lot of it, like traits wise, just like a long guy who can, really kind of take stuff away. Like I think that's probably the best, like, kind of recent Notre Dame comp. I'm sure if I was thinking of like, if I dug into it, because I mean, people get mad because I don't use like Notre Dame guys for all the comps, because I'm like, well, because he doesn't really fit a guy. But a lot of times I have to like dig deep and look and like be like, oh yeah, he's like this guy. So there's probably somebody else there that's probably a better perfect comp for him college football wise. But yeah, Notre Dame wise, I would say probably Cam Hardish.
I think if we were going to go deeper, there's not the explosiveness like the return game stuff this player did. But I think Darren Walls, maybe from a physical standpoint, I think is a pretty good comp for him. Again, I don't know that the explosiveness is similar, but like that body type, I think Notre Dame they've had like the 5'10", 6 foot, 5'11", 6 foot guy. And then they've had like the bigger, kind of like Leonard Moore, 6'2", 6'3" type. And like BMO was smaller. Like DJ McKinney's kind of in between, and I think Darren Walls was kind of in between as well. So that's kind of where I look at him. Can you think of a more like Notre Dame's really going to land this guy like in Quincy Porter? Like when we learned that was actually a real thing, when he went into the portal, I was like, Notre Dame's not. They're not going to get involved in this. They usually don't get in on the 5-star freshman from Ohio State who went into the portal. Like usually that's like, okay, straight to the SEC somewhere, and
yeah.
And then we found out, like they're actually going to be involved with this guy. That's like, I have to go watch film on him. And so it's like, you look at his body and for him, he was after kind of the Graham rumor started. So, or the Graham traction, I should say, not rumors. So it was kind of like, okay, this is the positional fit at boundary. And that's what you're looking for on that front. We'll get into the injury piece in a second, but just as a football player, Jamie, I mean, people ask what he could become. I think he could become Malachi Fields. I don't know that he'll be that this year, but I think that's what you're looking for. And it's like, if he ends up, Malachi Fields is a very, very obviously good football player. That's where he could end up, I think. So we really like him as a player. You could talk about him as a player here, and you can give a comp if you like.
Yeah, I mean, Malachi Fields would 100% be the comp for him. And it's funny because he's wearing 0, and he's like looks an awful lot like him in a lot of ways too. And some of it too is like what he can do after the catch, and like how he's like more explosive than you kind of expect for a guy who's like 6'4". And I mean, obviously, I had him highly rated. I think I had him 27th in the ISD Fab 50, so he was like the 4th best receiver in that class for me. Like, I loved him as a prospect. He was a guy that I thought took a big jump as a senior in high school, and like kind of is like a prototype boundary. And people asked within the thread, because everyone always wants to know, like, did Notre Dame, they settle? Right? They always want to know, like, did they settle for Quincy Porter? Like, first of all, the guy was a friggin' top 30 prospect. They settle for him? Like, give me a break.
But like a Jamie U top 30 prospect, not like our consigliere Jamie U top 30 prospect.
But like, because they think of Marsh, who went to Indiana, right? And then Strong, the Rutgers kid, and Reed, the Boston College kid. And to me, like, obviously those guys have, you're passing off, like, those guys have more production over their careers. They've played more than Porter. But if we're talking about like ceiling and what a guy could be, and also you could have like him for multiple years rather than those guys. I know Marsh technically is going to be a true junior, but I think he wants to be like a 1 and out guy. Like, and those other guys are only, they only have 1 year left.
Right.
I mean, to me, the trade-off is like, well, those guys are the production. These guys, he has multiple years left, and his ceiling is higher than all of them. Like, that was the thing we talked about. I can't remember if we talked about it on the podcast or if we just talked about it privately, but none of those guys to me are as good as Malachi Fields. Like I thought it was like, people get excited about, okay, they got these guys and it's like, oh, this is the Fields replacement. Yes, but don't expect them to be as good as Fields is what I would say. And fair enough, like Porter, we got to figure out what's going on with his knee and all that, if he's completely healthy and all that. And also too, like, he hasn't played that much. Don't expect him to come in and be like the senior version of Fields right away. But I think going forward, like, that's the guy you hope that he can be. And I think he has a real chance to be that, right? So I think this is the kind of one that you want to, a guy who's only been a year in the program, and obviously he was like good enough to play at Ohio State as a freshman, which, if you're doing that at receiver, that says something.
Yeah.
He's a very, very talented kid. So if he is exactly what, what people think he can be a difference maker. He can be that Claypool. They can, whatever, like, Boykin, potentially better than those guys, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're getting multiple years.
Yeah. He's got good run after catch for such a big player, and that's always kind of like, that's why you become a top 30 guy, right? Because you've got that run after catch, and you can make plays at the point of the catch as well. You can high ball it and that sort of thing. I think he's a good fit to, like, because of, I don't want to say the injury, but the fact that he hasn't really played that much. Like, I think he's a good fit to rotate with Gilbert. Like, I think if Marsh comes in, you think of him in more of like, okay, he's Fields. He's going to get 85% of the snaps, 80% of the snaps, right? And I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm saying if the fact that it's Porter makes it better for Gilbert in that, like, hey, he's not going to play that much. He first of all, he needs to ease into things because of the injury and because Gilbert is a good player in his own right, right? And so he's a junior and Porter would be coming in as a sophomore. There's a good chance that those two can kind of share the field a little bit more than they would if it was someone like Marsh or like Strong or whoever it might be, someone who is like a senior or a junior and is established in college football. Listen, this is our circle of trust here, Jamie. The knee does concern me a pretty good amount, and the reason for that is he's at Ohio State. Matt told us he's got this knee thing. You look it up online, and it's like everything is undisclosed. There's no information on it. You don't know exactly what the injury is. Then he goes into the portal and doesn't take visits, per Christian McCollum, who had a profile on him, or from a coach of his, I think it was. Who did Christian speak with specifically? Now that I'm talking about this,
his high school coach.
His high school coach. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So Christian had a profile on him. It's up on irishsportsdaily.com about him as a prospect and everything. But didn't take
he's talked to his high school coach, but he's the profile is on. He talked to the agent, so just
got it. Okay. So he didn't take visits is my point.
Yeah.
And so that to me is like, what is going on? What is going on here with the knee specifically? So it is what it is. Like, I'm glad Notre Dame took him because he's good enough to take and things like that. But I'll be very curious to hear what's the word on him whenever we hear from Marcus Freeman or when spring ball starts. Like, is he doing things on the field? Does he have to have surgery? Does he have to have a procedure? When is he going to be available? Like, I'm going to be listening to that fairly closely because it's out there.
Yeah, I think we won't. Yeah, we won't know until they say, and obviously, like, it's one of those things where we've just seen where think about like Will Pauling last year came in and it's like, well, he had to get something done, right?
Yeah.
Like he had to clean up an ankle. Same thing with like Riley Leonard, obviously missed that whole spring ball famously,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Jalen Stroman had to come and get a shoulder done. Like that is not atypical. If you're Notre Dame, you just want it to be obviously if he misses the spring, that would suck. You just don't want it to be like way more serious than that. And
Yeah.
we'll see. We don't know. We don't know what it is. And maybe he's totally fine. Like I don't know. Like maybe he's like better. He's better than people. You know, the speculation is right. So we'll see. I will say I don't want to discount Micah Gilbert. Like
I don't either. Yeah. No. 100%.
yeah, because we are hyping Porter's talent up, and it's all fair. But remember, like they're bringing him in. It's not like a lock that Porter is going to win because Gilbert is good. He is good, and the thing is like Gilbert stay healthy, and he's probably a lot different. This year is probably a lot different for him. Like he's not going to play over Malachi Fields, but he was going to contribute more than he did. And I think he's a good player, and I think he's absolutely someone like if you're looking at someone who could really kind of like take off this year. I mean, it's a good chance that he could be a guy that even with like Porter, like that might be someone just like Gilbert, regardless of how good Porter is, like Gilbert might be someone who's so good. It's like, he's got to be on the field somehow, right? Like they got to find a way. Right. So, I think that's one of the reasons too, why there wasn't as much of a need to say like, man, they got to get 2 or 3 receivers. They got to do this. It's like, well, he's a guy that just has been kind of waiting his time, like waiting his turn for his time. And now we're going to get a chance to see it. Like, frankly, we were hyping him up last spring to see what he could do. But this is obviously a huge spring for him. It's a huge spring for him. Cam Williams. It's a massive spring for Cam Williams. Like those guys, they got to show something right now. And I think it's good. Like it's one of those things too, where we talk about like McKinney, and we'll get into Sanders here in a minute, but like corners, pretty good corners are going against in practice every day. So if you want to stand out, like you got to go and you got to be good. You got to like be up to a certain level to play.
Do you agree that if Notre Dame had gotten someone like Marsh, you wouldn't really know how that fits for Gilbert specifically? Forget about the team, just Gilbert. Like, because I was thinking about this, like, what does that mean for him? You can't really make the case to play over someone like Marsh because he's the same age and he's done infinitely more.
He's played more. Yeah. He's played more, contributed more, way bigger production. So, and obviously he would be getting more in NIL than him and all that because of that. Yeah. So there's all that goes into it. I think, I mean, either way, like every single one of these guys, no matter what, everyone should have a chip on their shoulder and try to like prove something. Like all you can say is like Jordan Faison was a friggin' walk-on who came into camp and was like, yeah, this guy's going to play too. And then all of a sudden he's just cooking guys in camp. And before camp's over, he's got a scholarship and he should have played like way sooner as a true freshman, but then was like making plays as a true freshman. He was, MVP of the bowl game as a true freshman, but he went out and just straight up earned it. Like there were guys in front of him. Like that's the thing. It's like, you got to go and you got to earn it. Right. Like it, and ultimately, even if you think about it, because Faison was hurt at the beginning of the 2024 season, right? Like he gets the hip drop tackle, he gets the ankle.
Yeah.
Well, now Chris Mitchell's the starter, and he's the guy there, and Mitchell didn't do enough to like keep that job or whatever, but Faison had to go back and work and like go back and earn it, and be that guy. So I think it's just one of these things is like at all of these schools, it shouldn't be about like, oh, it's my turn next. It's like, no, you got to earn it. You got to earn it. So And that's what I think too. Like Gilbert, Cam Williams, and I know he's only going to his second year, but like Elijah Burris, these freshman guys coming in, like you think like Finley is somebody I think is good enough to play right away. Well, he's got to come in and show it, right? So it's just one of those things where these are all good problems. It's really, really good problems. And like, that's not the thing. Notre Dame, it wasn't only like a few years ago where they didn't even have anyone in the boundary. And they're just like, well, I guess we're just going to throw like stuff against the wall and see what happens.
Yeah. Catfish Kelly's dirty plunger. Any new word on Graham coming in the next couple of days? Monitoring. That's all I'm going to say. We are monitoring the situation. Keon Keely, who says you can't come home again? That Notre Dame's got a portal class that it's like if this was the 23 signing class, people would be going wild. What is your take on him? I know you talked a little bit about it on Power Hour, but just your overall take on him as a prospect. I have long held that he was not meant to be at Alabama, and that makes it hard for guys. You're somewhere where you have to be, not where you want to be. I think Notre Dame is a place where he wants to be. That's just my opinion. And that's going to allow him to flourish a lot more than he has. And I think that contributed to kind of his slow start at Alabama and just like never had a chance. Like I never expected him to play early at Alabama just because of the situation. And I think he kind of picked it up as he matured a little bit. And I think getting to Notre Dame is obviously going to help with that. So that's kind of my view on him. But your D-line guy, what is your view on him as like a prospect?
I mean, obviously, I think they're taking a flyer on him, basically, because of the previous relationship, because of obviously he was a 5-star, and he's still like a freak. Like he still has incredible traits, but I mean, and he can be, no doubt he's going to be in the rotation based on just like need, right? Like they don't have enough. Is
he your Josh Burnham replacement?
Yeah, he essentially is your Josh Burnham replacement. Like that he's going to slot in there, behind Bryce Young and Boubacar.
Mm-hmm.
But he still has like a ton to prove. Like, to be honest, it's very rare for somebody to, like, he played 167 snaps last year in his third year. And unless you like had like injuries that made it that way, that's why you only played that little. Yeah. And he didn't play at all. He redshirted the first year, barely played in his second year. And then he was like fringe rotation, got into the rotation later on in the year. But generally, like something I track, like if you play like 200 plus snaps as in your second year, very good chance you could be like a multi-year starter, NFL player, all this kind of stuff at Notre Dame. Well, and I know it's at Alabama. There's obviously a ton of guys, talented guys in front of him, but he was a 5-star. So right. It's like you got to kind of go in and like, earn your keep and just get in there and push. And he couldn't push through that. And it might have been because, I mean, I'll say like, why is he ever dropping into coverage? Like, I don't mind like when they're doing like Bryce Young dropping into the coverage against Pitt, almost getting the pick. Like you do some of that kind of stuff where it's like
a wrinkle.
Yes, you're going to do some things there. But Bryce Young, like, I bet if I looked at it, how many times he dropped in the coverage this year, could count him probably on one or two hands. Like, it's not a lot. So Keely, like, drop way too, like, get this guy going forward and getting him after the passer. If your scheme says to drop Keon Keely X amount of times, it's a bad scheme. you're a moron. Like, I don't care. Like, I understand. Like, I'm sure, gotta forget Alabama's DC's name, but like, he's been a guy who's like been a DC for a long time. It's like, yeah, whatever you were running at South Alabama and at Indiana before, don't run it at Alabama because your athletes are different.
Yeah.
You got to get these guys. It's just like, you don't want, like, if that's what you're doing and you're not taking advantage of your strengths of your team. So I do think there is something to that, like getting him into a new environment, into a scheme. He's not going to be doing the same kind of things. He's going to be attacking more. Also, he's going to get a chance to, it's like a fresh, he absolutely need a fresh start, get to a different program, different, in a place where he's comfortable, all that kind of stuff. That's great. Charlie Partridge, here's your first big project. See if you can unlock it. I don't think Charlie Partridge has ever coached a guy like Keon Keely, just in terms of like 6'5", arms that reach to the ground, 280, 290 pounds, defensive end. Like, I was looking at like Rashad Weaver, who was obviously, he was a stud at Pitt. And he was another guy who was like, he was like 6'5", 270, kind of similar, but not quite the same. Not quite the same. And that guy was obviously a stud there and became that. So I want to see what Keely can do with Partridge in this new thing. Like, I always said, you used to say about Tosh Baker, and hey, it turned out to be true. It's like, you look at him, you walk by him. I remember like walking by him. I saw him off campus. Like, I was, obviously there for spring or fall camp, whatever. I saw him off campus at a store, and just, you see him. He's just a different size human being. And you see a guy like that, and you're like, if he doesn't play in the NFL, something went wrong. Obviously, something went wrong. He never became that guy that, but there was a reason why he was ranked so highly. And it's the same thing with Keon Keely. I mean, I've seen him in person, like when he was still in high school, when he was like 16 years old. And you would have said the exact same thing about him then. If he doesn't play in the NFL, something went wrong. Well, right now, he's not an NFL player. Well, now he's got 2 years to prove to be an NFL player. And it frankly starts this year. Like, he has to be a guy this year who makes like a huge, huge jump. Now, he had 3 sacks last year, 2 in the last 3 games, 1 in the SEC championship game, 1 in the Oklahoma game. I will say they were plays where it showed what kind of athlete he is, but he wasn't winning. Like, he didn't win with hands. He wasn't like doing a long arm to whatever. Like, right. First of all, this guy should just be a long arm master, because there's just no one who should be able to block him. Like, speed to power. That's what I thought he was going to be. And whatever. Obviously, so many guys turned out at Alabama. Like, they have a good defensive line coach. It's not like, I don't want to blame it on the defensive line coach. That guy's produced a ton of first round picks. So a lot of it's got to be on Keely. But now it's just like, this is it's a fresh start, and we get to see what he is. But if you were going to take a chance on somebody who didn't really do much in 3 years, it's this freakazoid who's like not human compared to most other people. It's a guy who's like basically Bryce Young, but hasn't played as much as Bryce Young. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of player that Notre Dame needs to be going after. Like, you want that upside, right? Like, you want that you want that thing that raises your ceiling. So I just like bringing him in, and I like the story of it too. I do. Like, he's coming. Like, I do feel like he is coming home, and to the place that he wanted to be. And so I think that's a very big deal. Jaden Sanders, defensive back from Michigan, true freshman last year. So I talked to him, like I talked about him yesterday, like Dallas Golden. you're basically replacing Cree Thomas with another Dallas Golden and that experience that was gained last year. To be clear, Jaden Sanders had a better season at corner than Dallas Golden did at nickel, which is to say nothing of the fact that Dallas Golden had to play out of position at nickel. He's never played it before. I'm not really making the compare. I'm not saying Jaden Sanders is a better player prospect than Dallas Golden. I'm just saying by the numbers. And look,
he had a better freshman season.
Yeah. He had a better freshman season, and also like he was. It's not like he was dominant or anything like that. Like he 16 of 23 allowed in the same amount of snaps. I think he had 303 snaps. I think Dallas Golden had 311. But he gave up a touchdown, had a pass broken up, 98.5 pass rating against. These are not like freshman All-American numbers. Like he's the corner from Oregon. I can't remember his name. But that's not that, right?
Finney,
but
yeah.
Finney. But this is a very good player, and it's a very good prospect. It's interesting to me that they bring him in as the Cree Thomas replacement, especially when you have like Kari Adams coming in. Like they are bolstering this secondary, Jamie. You said it yesterday. How can there be a better secondary in college football right now? I don't see how it exists when a guy like Luke Tolich is not going to start at Notre Dame. A guy like a guy like Dallas Golden and Jaden Sanders are probably not going to start at Notre Dame. Like that is the caliber of player that they have in Notre Dame secondary. The reason I like bringing him in is it matters on the margins, you know. And look, Notre Dame had the end of the season that they had, and they had the start of the season that they had, because they did not have a Jaden Sanders caliber player to come in when guys got hurt.
Yeah.
And it's just, you need these guys to help you win games in the regular season and to help you win games in the playoffs. And then he has 3 years of eligibility, so you can keep him. And also, it's kind of fun to take someone like that from Michigan. That's a fun thing.
Yeah, always fun.
That's another fun thing about Quincy Porter, by the way, because he was rumored to go to Michigan, and then Notre Dame ended up with him. So that's another fun part of that. But what is your take on Jaden Sanders, Jim?
Yeah, I'd also say too, like when you're getting guys from Ohio State and Michigan, and it's not like Freddie Canteen. I mean, I don't mean shots at Freddie Canteen, but let's be honest, he was a guy who didn't play. Like he wasn't a factor there. And this was a guy who was going to start. Sanders was a guy who's going to start for multiple years at Michigan. Like if they kept him, like,
yeah.
If you're getting someone who plays 300 snaps as a true freshman and is good, like it's pretty good. Like he wasn't unbelievable, like you said. Like wasn't funny.
Like you said, they want him to start.
Yeah, and he did. He actually started 2 games last year.
Yeah,
and was pretty good at it. I mean, he was a guy that I didn't watch really as a recruit because he was like a late riser guy. And Notre Dame. I wonder if I bet Notre Dame liked him, but they already had their corners in the class. They had Golden. They had Zachary and they had Thomas. They had those guys in the class for like a long time. And he was a guy who kind of like kept going up as the process went along. They probably really liked him. They're like, God, I wish we could have offered him. But what are they going to take a 4th corner in the class? Probably not. Right. And they didn't want to drop any of the other guys. So they, went for it. But I mean, a 6'4" high jump as a junior in high school, like that's impressive. If you watch any of his basketball highlights, you can just see like he is a really, really good athlete, like super twitchy athlete. Incredible defender. I just thought too, like you watch him, he's got that easy kind of speed, right? Those long strides, easy speed. Really good ball, really good receiver on offense. 798 yards receiving as a high school senior, 9 touchdowns as a receiver, 18 passes defended as a high school senior. So I look at that, like he only had the 1 pass breakup as a freshman. I don't really think like, oh man, the ball production. Like I don't worry about it that as much when a guy is like consistently making plays in high school and leading up to that. Like that, I think is going to come for him. And also too, they played like a ton of zone. And to me, I look at him, I'm like, this guy's a man coverage corner.
Yeah.
I watch him, I'm like, he absolutely has those traits. So that's a guy he looks like a Mike Mickens corner. Looks like a guy who I think is going to be a great fit. And as I said on Power Hour yesterday, one of the things that Notre Dame could be in a really bad, like they weren't going to be in a horrible spot, or so really bad is not the way to put it, but they weren't going to be in a good spot next year, considering that Moore is not going to be there in 2027. Like he's going to be a top 10 pick, maybe a top 5 pick. That's a lock. Christian Gray is out of eligibility. It's done. Obviously, bring in McKinney. This has got 1 year. That's it. So if those are your top 3 corners, well, you have Zachary, you have Golden, and those guys have to do, and you have Corey Adams, and I'm sure they'd still be good.
Adams and Smith, yeah, for sure.
And Smith, exactly. And, obviously they're bringing in pretty good secondary in the 2027. So they'll be okay. But don't you feel a little bit better? It's like, because they lost Carson Hobbs. And I know Carson Hobbs didn't end up being whatever, but that is a young guy that you kind of count on to be like something. You count
100%. Yeah. I mean, they had to. I mean, like losing Hobbs and Creed Thomas, like kind of makes this necessary.
It absolutely makes it to, and that is the kind of thing. Like I know somebody asked like earlier, like, do you expect people to transfer because of this? Like, this guy's just replacing guys who already did transfer. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Really, right? Like, and like I don't even see like. Could somebody be upset about like, the guys that are bringing in? I'm sure, that everybody's like, no one wants to see other guys come in if they think, hey, it's my spot. Well, nobody's in a spot where they have like, you still got to earn it. And these new guys coming in, they got to earn it. Like perfect examples, like RJ Oben was seen as like, well, he's going to be the JJB and he's going to be this and he's going to be that. I mean, he was a backup, even though he started for like multiple years at Duke, right? And he got passed. And even though they had like injuries there, he still was never a starter. He played and he was fine and he got better as the year went on and obviously had the huge sack in the Georgia game, but he didn't really end up being the guy that people thought he was going to be. Everybody still competed. Everyone was still beat him. Like Burnham got him, and then Tuihalamaka got more reps, all that kind of stuff. So it's, you got to go out and compete. You got to go and compete and in your spot, and that's the way to kind of look at it. And if you don't have guys who don't want to compete, they get like upset about it. Those guys probably weren't going to, they probably weren't going to earn those jobs anyways. This is the way I kind of look at it.
Yeah. What's still out there? Notre Dame needs a kicker, so that's Absolutely. Just out there. We don't have a name. I don't know. The kicker situation is interesting, and just in that we know they need one, and we don't know who they're kind of looking at. I mean, we know who they wanted, who never went in the portal, but so they need a kicker. So that's out there, and they will land one. Just. They will land a kicker, so when they do, we'll talk about it then. Milin Graham is out there. We expect that he will end up at Notre Dame. What's your comp for him? People have asked me this. I have 2 players I have a cross between 2 players. I want to know who your comp is for Milin Graham.
Well, okay, like my comp for him out of high school, and he wasn't the exact, it was more style than exactly who I thought he was going to be, but it was Devontae Smith. If you've seen
Devontae Smith,
Alabama, the receiver, not the guy who played nickel for Notre Dame. Ironically, another Devontae.
The Heisman Trophy finalist,
the Heisman Trophy winner.
That's right. He did win. I thought Mac Jones won. That's right. Yes. Okay.
And And I'm not saying that he was going to be him, and obviously he is not him yet. I mean, he has done that, whatever. But if you watch him as an athlete, you know how I think you would agree with me on this. There's a way that Devontae Smith, when you see the way him getting in and out of his routes, that I think is almost unique. And obviously he's a super skinny guy. He's different, whatever. And Graham used to be that, and he's added weight and he's much thicker now and all that.
Yeah.
But there was just like a smoothness. Like, it's like very few guys get described as silky. Like this guy's a silky, like just everything how he moves. It's just that. And he has that kind of movement. So he is obviously not that guy, but that is the person that when I think of him, that's who I think of, because I've seen him in person compete, and that is absolutely like who he reminded me of, was Devontae Smith. Now I think he's different. Obviously, like I said, he's bigger now. I think he is not, he obviously hasn't proven that he is one of those guys yet. He 2 years at redshirted, played a little last year, but wasn't like a big contributor. I'm a believer in his talent and think and obviously Ohio State wants to keep him. Like they still want him. They didn't want to lose him. So I don't think it's one of these things where they were happy to see him go. So it's not quite like that, but I think he. Oh wait, before I go into what, who is who are you thinking?
Oh, I told people he was a cross between Will Fuller and TJ Jones.
I mean, it's kind of like,
I'm just trying to be honest. Like, it's not a prediction. I'm just saying, like, I don't know that he has that absolute explosiveness of Fuller, but they're kind of built similar. And I think he's shifty. He's shifty in the open field in a way that Fuller was not, and that TJ Jones was. But he doesn't have that just absolute smoke show quality that Fuller had. So that's why he's in between those two players, I guess, is the thing.
Yes. And okay, so one of the things with I think, but you would kind of describe both of those guys. Their feet.
Yeah.
It's the feet, right? That them getting in and out of their breaks. It's different. I would say too, I think he's got real juice after the catch, and he can be like pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So if ultimately that's kind of where things end up with him going to Notre Dame, man, I think he has a chance to be a really, really good player. Now, he would be positioned behind Faison. He's a field, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the way I kind of look at it is, obviously he's somebody that you would expect, like, Faison's got 1 year and he would be behind him there. But like, he is someone who could be like, I'm going to take snaps. I'm going to find a way. Also too, like, we're going to try him here in the slot and give him a look here too, like with him in Greathouse and all of that. Like, I think that the idea would be like, hey, he's good enough to earn something there where he can play there. And I mean, frankly, this is the same kind of thing if you're looking at it where like Elijah Burris, like, that's how he should be thinking too.
Yeah.
Because Elijah Burris shouldn't be thinking, he's probably not going to beat out Faison. He obviously knows Faison is there, but he needs to position himself where, hey, if I'm not at least the next guy in, I am the guy who's like, I'm forcing my way into playing, right? And that is kind of like the hope there, right? And obviously you got Finley coming in there too. Right. So there's a lot of competition there. That's the way it should be. And that is a rare thing for Notre Dame to have that kind of mix there where they have that. Like, that's where, even if you look at, like, think about if they didn't have Pauling last year and then Greathouse got hurt like he did, like, then all of a sudden, like, I mean, that's even like Saldate. It's like Saldate, obviously, this is like Saldate, Cam Williams also there. Like, it's a huge spring for all these guys. You got to earn it. You got to go out and earn it, and we'll see what happens. But and that's how too you can see with KK Smith. It was like,
yeah, I gotta go.
Where is it? Like, where are you gonna find it? Because these guys are coming up. You're not gonna pass Faison. You're not gonna pass Greathouse. Where is it? What's going to happen for you? And you're going to year 4 or whatever, right? Like, yeah.
And you could get passed by Burris even,
Yes.
like Elijah Burris could have passed you, and that you're not going to pass Graham. A, Graham's better, and B, practically speaking, they paid him more money. So there's that piece of it. I think this unlocks some really interesting possibilities with Faison, in my opinion, and what they can do with him and the type of weapon that he can be in this offense. You can be super great. He can throw the ball. Obviously, he can run the ball. He's a punt returner. He can catch the ball. Like you can get very, very creative with it. And by the way, we've talked for the last couple weeks about where the offense is going. The two things I'm confident with Porter and Graham is they are not cheap. And you put that money into receiver and you didn't put it into running back. And you could have, right? There's running backs out there that they could have given money to. But they didn't do that. And so I think this kind of goes to show, like, we talk about 10 personnel, like it's on the menu. It has to be on the menu.
It's on the menu.
You can't have these guys and say, we're not going to play 10 ever. Like empty on the menu, like it just is. And so that's something that we need to be thinking about. The last person that we're going to talk about, Jamie Uyeyama, Francis Brewu.
It's just Brew. Found out it's just
Brew. It's
just
not
Brew.
Brewu. It's just Francis Brew.
Just take out the U, Brew.
That's fine because it's much easier to say in that way.
Yeah.
Francis Brew, defensive tackle from Pitt. I'm going to tell you what, if you were going to grab we talked about this. We talked about it when he became a name. Like, this is a moment that you can win games in the off season. Picking up a guy like this. If you were going to grab a player who was proven, who was like an All-American, had the upside and all those things, and the position is what I'm talking about. Defensive tackle. Like, if there was any position that they grabbing guys out of the portal, it's like, man, make sure he's good. It's defensive tackle. And it looks like Notre Dame is going to land Francis Brew. It's huge. It's huge. It's huge. It's huge. Like, there's no other way to say it for what Notre Dame needed in the 2026, going into the 2026 season.
Also, shout out Rob Wozniak here for the drunk chanting Brew. I mean, it's probably gonna happen. Yeah. By the way, they sell beer in Notre Dame Stadium now, so it's probably happening.
It's a new day. They're selling beer. They're taking 5-star receivers from Ohio State, Jamie. It is a new day for sure.
It should never get glossed over that Pat Narduzzi's roster's getting picked apart. You love to see it.
Yeah,
you love to see it. You love to which, by the way, just to go on a quick tangent, but how Miami, so the ACC has a thing. Basically, they're getting the Notre Dame treatment. They get to keep all the money that they're getting from this thing. They don't share it with the rest of the conference. That's what the ACC is doing. I don't know if Pat Narduzzi knew that when he was giving them that touchdown at the end of the game.
When he was, I won't use the word again because I've used it enough. But he was capitulating in a way to Miami that was a little unbecoming, in my opinion.
And now his best tackles out the door. His best linebacker. I think he just committed to Texas, right? you love to see it. You love to see it. Couldn't happen to a better guy.
Couldn't happen to a better guy, Jamie.
Yeah. What a guy. Brew, I mean, I think it's just one of these things where at the position of need is just so obvious, right? It's so obvious that they needed somebody, especially after Donovan Heinisch went out, because it was like, wow, they really need it. And essentially he would be like your Donovan Heinisch replacement. Like he's, similar in size and all that too. But this is someone who obviously was at Pitt, was a very good player at Pitt. He was one of the better pass rushing, interior pass rushers in the country last year, at defensive tackle. He had like the 6th highest win rate in true pass sets out of any power forward defensive tackle last year. He is super quick, like disruptive guy. He's something because of his size. He has to win with quickness. He has to win with quickness and leverage and punch and be violent. He has to be that. Obviously, that is something that like can't happen. You look at like Heinisch, older Heinisch, Kurt. You look at Howard Cross, all of that. Like that is something that is there. And this guy was a guy that was recruited by Partridge to play for Pitt. Never got a chance to play for him. So there's all of that. Like he is, to me, like there's still, you'd like to see, obviously you'd love to see an announcement from the NCAA that Jason Onye got approved for another year. That would be very big for Notre Dame. And probably even add another defensive tackle if possible. But there's no way they could not come out of the portal thing without getting one. So closing on Brew is critically important.
Yeah.
It's critically important. So I think that is someone too that he could be one of these guys. Like he's a disruptor. He can be a potential game wrecker. So I'm a big fan of this game.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, potential game wrecker there, next to Boubacar Traore, who we think could be an absolute game wrecker, especially coming off of a season where he was recovering from an ACL, right? So he can be the stronger version of himself. And obviously you have Bryce Young, who is ascending, and I think everyone, and when we talk about the D line, Armel Mukam comes back. Congratulations to you, Jamie. I mean, a huge day for you to get Armel Mukam back in the fold. Your guy, your Canadian brethren. So that's it's a fun bit that we get to continue into the spring and everything. So that's very cool. I would say after this, should they land Brew, should they land Milin Graham, I think you're looking at maybe, like you said, another D tackle, and of course the kicker. I mean, is there anything else? I don't know that they need to go in any other direction. I mean, that would give them 8 if a second D tackle and a kicker would give them 8 transfer guys. That sounds about right to you? Maybe it seems like they're going to pass at quarterback, which is, I mean, if they end up doing that, we can talk about that and how big of a decision that is. But something to look at.
I think it's not ideal, but like if you look at, so they went obviously after the kid from Mercer who was it Mercer? Sorry, now I'm
Braden Atkinson. Yeah,
Braden Atkinson for Mercer. He's the guy with multiple years of eligibility left. He's jumping the mix. Like, well, that's a lot of those young guys who are kind of competing there, and obviously, Teddy Gerard's coming in the summer too. So there's all that. I think it is one of those things where it does get a little bit murkier if he's in there. So I guess that would be the one thing. And if you could have got somebody who was just like the 5th year guy, maybe they will still pull something out of their hat just to do that. Cause I think it would probably be good, but let's be honest. What kind of guy are you going to get that like, they're never going to get anyone who could be like, well, now they're going to win the Natty because of that guy coming in. If Carr gets hurt, that guy's coming in. It's not a thing. So you're probably just as good with, one of the young guys kind of coming in, and you just hope that you don't have to like limit everything you can do. But we just talked about all the talent around them and all that, and there's going to be a lot of talent. So I think they're going to be in pretty good. They'll be okay shape there, but it's not ideal. It's not ideal, but how many years has it ever been ideal at backup quarterback? The last 2 years where they had Minchie and they had Angeli, those are exceptions. It usually doesn't look that good at backup quarterback like that.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, they there's still and by the way, there's still the portal is basically how long it takes for someone. Like, there's a deadline to when you can enter. Once you're in the portal, I think it's true that you can once you're in the portal, you can kind of announce whenever. Do I have that correct? You have till the 20th, or you have till the end of this week to enter, but not sign somewhere.
Yes.
So that's the deal. So if Notre Dame feels like, hey, we need to do something, someone can, and there's like also, there's also like graduate transfer stuff that's going on. So Notre Dame will assess, I guess. And we have a couple of days still for someone to get into the portal. I will say before we go, and we can do because I think Notre Dame will mostly be wrapped up by our next show on Thursday. What I will say is everyone that we talked about today was not a name known to us after the first weekend. The Monday or Tuesday after that first weekend, none of these guys were on the radar, with the exception of maybe Keon Keely.
Most of the guys weren't in the portal yet.
That's what I mean. They weren't even in the portal at all. And so I don't want to, again, Notre Dame wanted players to come on that first weekend. So I'm not trying to say this was a part of their master plan. What I am saying is I think it's beneficial to Notre Dame that they didn't overpay for the players that were available on that first weekend because of how things have ended up. If they decided, hey, we think there's better coming, we don't need to blow our funds on this first weekend, I think they did make the right decision on that part. So, again, you got to let things play out. You got to be patient. And I think Notre Dame's ended up with a really good portal class, should it all come to fruition. So I think we can end it there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. If you like what you heard, hit that like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. See whenever it is we are going live. We'll be back on Thursday to talk more portal, and I think things will be more clear at that point. Keep your eyes and ears open today on the irishsportsdaily.com, especially. And for some more news, I think it's going to be a good day for Notre Dame fans. So we will talk to you on Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your day. Keep hitting and hustling.